All right, practice problem 5.3, millimeters, grams, and seconds. Part origin is at the bottom center, so we'll start with our center rectangle. This time they chamfered the corners. Lines, center lines, rectangles, arcs, circles, slots, and the extruded boss and the plane. So should be able to get all of this base geometry in one shot. Based on the isometric view, we're going to start our sketch in the top plane, and then generate our geometry for the plane. We'll need some a sketch to help us provide a construction or a skeleton for the plane definition. All right, so top plane sketch. We're back into the rectangle. We've been using the center rectangle. I'm going to stay with the midpoints, and notice there it goes. Oh, I did not click. I think I was doing a click instead of the click drag. All right, so we're just going to drag that center point back to the origin, allow it to go coincident and get fully defined. And then as we add the rest of our dimensions and geometry, it will start to take shape. All right, so the chamfers on this one, since they don't play any critical role in the sketch, I'm going to do those as a chamfer feature. For the slots then, I'm going to go with a center point straight slot because I can pick the center line and drag those out. And we might as well mirror it. So let's get our definition. It is the inside edge to the outside of the part, 8 millimeters. And the width is 6, so we want to make sure to pick up that geometry. And then the overall length on the outside is 41. They give us a dimension of 10.5 from the edge to the center. Just keep in mind that I'm already defined because of that midpoint. So if I want the 10.5 in there for reference, I need to make sure that it's driven. And if I try to do anything with it, it's going to tell me that it's driven and not allow me to make changes. So the 41 is the driving this the midpoint of my slot's center line, attached coincident to the rectangle center line gives me that geometry. So because the slot is kind of a unit, an object by itself, we only have to select. If I drew this this geometry, line, arc, then I would have to use the select tangency, select chain to make the selection. So control select the center, and we're going to go right into mirror, and we're ready to extrude and get to the fun part. All right, so we're still in midplane. Don't want to do the midplane. The thickness is 7, and we'll go ahead and complete that sketch. So from I don't know that it really helps us. Let's see what we have for the angle geometry. There's nothing really coming out this way. Our angle to the center kind of shows that it's 20 off of the face. Okay, so given a dimension to that center point, the assumption is that we're going to be going, going through that center point. So let's go ahead with a sketch on the top, and I'll just do a center line from the origin over to the center. Since we're not given a dimension other than the 20 millimeters, coming back, and just for reference, I think I will put the 20 millimeters in for a visual, just to make sure. All right, so setting up the plane. A lot of times I will rename, if this is my layout or my plane layout or plane sketch, something that that gives me a reference back to that geometry. All right, so we want to have the plane from either the front or the right. We did the front plane, I believe, last time. So if we do it as a right plane, that it's not really going to matter because it's just providing the like the vertical orientation. And if I go to the plane, that one went perpendicular. We don't want parallel. So the right plane was set up as an angle. Okay, so last time we had the temporary axis. I'm trying to do the same thing. So let's just clear that out. And there's my result. So maybe just to clean this up, since that's not the second reference, let's go into the first reference, and that is showing me the 2 points, and it is staying vertical. So input is incomplete still. All right, so I'm going to need to add to my my layout sketch. We're not really ready to. I'm not ready to show the 3D sketch, but 3D sketch would be a good one to utilize here, since we could put the two center line geometries in together. All right, so let's go ahead and give it like 20 millimeters, and I am going to rename that to my layout 2, and then the reference geometry becomes plane. First reference goes to the line, and then here's where we could go to a point. All right, so it goes purple, or to my selection, and if I use the line, it's going to be able to do the same thing. The main thing is that we end up with that geometry off of those two sketches. So we'll just add as needed. All right, so those two layout sketches we can hide. And we'll open up the sketch. Now I lost my frame of reference because I do want to make it look like this. Whichever way the plane is facing, whatever is the normal to that plane. But I would like to draw along that geometry. So maybe shouldn't have hid layout 2 first, because we know that that bottom edge is going to pick up there, and then I just need to figure out where the length is given. All right, so 14 on the width. These come back 8 from the center back to that point. All right, so we're going to be drawing a little bit more geometry to make all that work. So 36 degrees. We're going to extend that out. I'm not worried about that that radius. So now I've got the orientation. Sure enough, it went back the other way. All right, so the normal to that plane was opposite. I don't really care, as long as I am. It makes sense visually which way I'm drawing from. All right, so we had an 8 from the center point. Well, hopefully the center point gives us a dimension. All right, so I'm not seeing it. We have 20 there. When in doubt, keep adding dimensions until it makes sense, or it over defines. So let's go 4 millimeters. All right, so that's looking a little bit better. Since that whole location is somewhere in here, I don't necessarily want that to be midpoint. Are we going to call that center? I don't know that we're given that radius. So 8, if that's at the center of the arc, then yeah, it would be the the midpoint, and we would be using that dimension to go back to there. All right, so again, making an assumption. Going to escape. I'm still in the line properties, so let's just get back to select. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the midpoint, and that way when I go to that geometry, go from the vertex over to the center line, it gets me fully defined. It makes me a little nervous, but it gets me fully defined. All right, so we're going to extrude, and the width is 14 for the midplane. And then we can open up the sketch. And I am a little hesitant to put the radiuses on, but let's go ahead and see what it does. Now if I show this sketch, all right, and then back into rotating over for the isometric, that point is lying in the sketch plane, so I can use it to add a relation and then put in the dimension, and we have a diameter of 8. And then we're going to extrude cut up to next. Now through all, we have to be careful because through all will go all the way through that other geometry. So up to next is the better choice here to build out the shape. All right, so I'm through with the plane. I'm through with the sketch. Can hide those. I'm also through with that sketch. So I'm just right clicking on these and hiding them as I go. If I do the fillet, chances are I'll end up with a line, separation line between that geometry. And since I bypassed the context menu, we're going to end up with a radius of 7 and see what that looks like. All right, so we have point, point, and the point. So if I had drawn this as a full arc, there's a possibility, well, I don't think I would have ended up with that line, but that line doesn't hurt anything. So picking on the edge, going over to our context for the chamfer, again, make sure that you pause, give it a chance to pop up. And our chamfer then is 6 by 45 degrees. All right, and then we can select, and then we'll look just like the radius and let it select the other two. And we'll go ahead and save. All right, P5-3. All right, so this one had a little extra geometry. We may revisit this one for the 3D sketch, but let's see how we did on the volume. 4316. Evaluate. Mass properties 4372. All right, so if there's a problem, I suspect it's my interpretation of what went on up here. It looks pretty good, but given that I'm either not seeing the other dimensions, but I'm pretty sure I included all of the dimensions, so there's not too much that I can do there. We could do a quick check on the measure. So 20.06, that's kind of interesting the way that it came up with that one. Let's go back to my layout sketch and show. Now that pulled up the line there. And if I go back into the measure, that one goes 20 exactly. So it must be a little bit of a cosine error or something going on there, but I don't know that would make it off. So, all right, well, we'll call this one good. We're close, but missed it by a little bit.